Good morning. I'm Connie Lucas, a member of Unity, and I welcome you to Unity of the Hill Country, where we offer a positive path for spiritual living. I ask you now to join me in prayer. We give thanks for this beautiful day, full of possibilities. We feel God's presence and power in us and all around us. We are truly blessed. Feeling wholeness, we extend this blessing to everybody. We bless all people, regardless of what they believe or whom they love. We know that there are many paths to God, many names for God, but only one God. And God is expressing through all creation. We come together this morning to experience and express the Christ Spirit that dwells within each of us. And so it is. Amen. If you are joining us, on Facebook from home, we would like to take a moment and say welcome and connect in consciousness. Close your eyes. Just take a breath together. Please feel free to comment and introduce yourselves. This is our time to be together and share in love. Feel free to post and to tweet about Unity of the Hill Country, but please silence your phone so it doesn't disturb our gathering. Unity is a global, inclusive, spiritual community, and we offer practical, uplifting resources to help people of all faiths apply positive spiritual principles. Unity offers practical spiritual teachings that empower abundance and meaningful lives. Please join me now in affirming our mission and vision statements: to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. And our statement of faith: there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. And now Reverend Bob will bring us an announcement and really another survey.
Yeah.
I didn't get a pencil.
We'll have to remedy that.
Please do.
Good morning. Before we move on to a couple other things, I just wanted to thank you. I mean, it seems that people have been talking about the lesson I did last week on grief. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of hits on both Facebook and YouTube. I know actually another Unity minister wanted to check in and see what I did, because she's trying to figure out how to address that subject. So yeah, I did the Sunday lesson on grief last week. I wanted to thank. Yesterday we had our Deck of the Halls at noon. So the people who came and helped, Danny Donovan, I know he brought that Native American crush back there. Melaine Arnold, Robin Stewart, Tina Thompson, Carolyn Bailey, Sandy Albertson, and let's see, what's Carla Golden, I think it says. So yeah. Also, we've been having these things sitting out there for some time. These are yours, free to take. They're little packets of tissues. It says, always pray and never give up. A loose translation of the Gospel of Luke, 18th chapter verse. But yeah, if you want to grab these stocking stuffers or whatever, or just to have handy, we have got those out there in the lobby, so by all means grab. Now, you'll see on the screen I've got the UHC Special Christmas Offering. Will be coming up on Sunday, December 18th. We, at least, obviously I just started in May, but I always try to find some group that we can support, around Christmas time. Now, go ahead and put the next slide up there. We do have, because we are a church that believes in the importance of generosity. It helps prime the pump of financial abundance. So we do have our regular partners that we give to every month. Got Unity World Headquarters, Unity Worldwide Ministries, and Unity South Region. And then for the local area, we've been giving to Christian Assistance Ministry, Habitat for Humanity, the Kerrville Mental Health Center, and Salvation Army. So every year after we total things up, out goes the tithe, 10%. So as you can see, though, we've chosen for this particular holiday offering to give to the Kerrville State Hospital Volunteer Services Council, providing resources and items that cannot be purchased with state-appropriated funds. So for that offering on the 18th, we'll be giving, above and beyond the 10%, we'll give another 10%, to the Volunteer Services Council. So just kind of keep that in mind for the 18th. Now, if, I know you're watching online or whatever, you can give several different ways. You can give it to me. You can mail a check. If you haven't checked out on our website, unityhillcountry.org, we've got a new donation tab, which people are saying they really like. And I know one person contacted us because they hadn't realized we switched companies to do that. But yeah, there's a company that specializes in helping out nonprofits for donations without taking fees, so we went with them. And then, of course, just dropping things off here. We've got a drop box now out in the lobby, so even if you can't make it on Sunday, December 18th, you can still contribute. And like I said, I'm excited about this. It's kind of fun each year to kind of find someone who we can support. So yeah, that council did a real good job of knowing what people need there at the state hospital. A lot of times they come in with the shirt on their back, and there are only certain, there are a lot of restrictions as to what the state money goes to. So that's the plan. Spread the word, and we'll do that, like I say, on the 18th. That offering will be divided, as I just mentioned. All right, for the survey, let's take a look at, ta-da! The 1-minute answers to our questions. So if you haven't been here before, what we discover is rather than mailing out a questionnaire of 20 questions, of which 2% come back, just ask you a quick question or two here on a Sunday morning. So let's take a look at last week. I asked, what is your preferred day? Let me get away from the speaker here. I'm getting feedback. So yeah, what is your preferred day of the week and time for a class or workshop? Please list your first, second, and third choice. And as you can see, we got quite a spread. First choice here, like you see, any day at 10 a.m. I'm going on down the list. I've got a copy of this right there on the next to the door if you want a copy of these. But at least it gives me a sense of like, okay, if we offer a class, what's good for people. All right. So that now this week you get the opportunity to do the opposite. Tell me when you do not want to see it. It's like, oh, I can't possibly do it. I work this time, or I've got, So yeah, just let me know what's the worst day and time for the week for a class or workshop. List your first, second, and third one, and that'll help me narrow down as we move into the new year when to offer these things.
Hey, Bob, can you put up the list?
Yeah. In fact, I've got it back there on the, what do we call that? The old lectern there next to the door. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that gives you a sense. So go ahead and just give me your answers to there, and go ahead and pass it over to the ushers, and they will receive them, and I'll go through them and report back to you next week. Okay, go ahead and pass the little cards over to the ushers so that we can take a look at those. If you're going to insist on writing a dissertation, you can always put it in the offering later. Connie, I'm going to pass the baton to you here.
Okay. And it being, excuse me, it's Celebration Sunday, the first Sunday of the month. We take time to honor birthdays, anniversaries, answered prayer, and everything in between. And if you have something you'd like to share with us, please stand and share the joy with us. And I'll try and repeat some of it for the people at home. They're evidently having a hard time understanding, hearing what's going on. So, celebrations in December, please. Anita. Anita's got a birthday. Tomorrow. Yay. Linda. My birthday is the 21st. And Linda has a birthday on the 21st. And Amy, Sandra, on the 21st. 12th. Those of you at home, we're moving on here. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry? And a birthday on New Year's Eve. Big celebration. Thank you. Anything else? That's it. Good for us. Okay. Our daily word keeps the unity movement connected worldwide since 1924. And this week's reader is Norma Leonard. Our unity movement started in 1889 with answered prayer and the healing of a failed illness.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to read the daily word this morning, knowing that we're doing this with thousands and millions of other people around the world. Let's repeat our affirmation this morning. Centered in God, I am a peaceful presence. Stepping away from the busyness of holiday preparations and the important work that must be completed before year's end, I continue my Advent journey by practicing peace in the present moment, wherever I am. I am gracious with store clerks and servers in restaurants. I add positive, peaceful thoughts to conversations. When I'm traveling, I bless other drivers with whom I share the road and my fellow passengers on public transportation. Peace flows from that place in consciousness where God's presence fills my awareness. I need not find a quiet corner. When I am willing, anywhere can be a peaceful sanctuary. The peace of God refreshes me and goes with me as I return to the activities of the day. Wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, I am a peaceful presence. And Psalm 29, verse 11, may the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. And let's repeat the affirmation one more time. Centered in God, I am a peaceful presence.
Thank you, Norma. Our congregational song this week is It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and the lyrics will be on the screen, and our music team will help us with the melody. Following that, please join us with this month's meditation song, One Small Child, as we settle into meditation. After the period of meditation, well, please join us in Alleluia. Stand to sing. What's that?
If you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. Feel your feet solidly on the floor, grounded as if roots were growing into the ground. Feel your back against the back of the chair. Feel your hands. On your left hand, the smallest of the fingers. Is it cool or is it warm right now? And let's take some deep breaths, counting to 6 on each inhalation and exhalation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. draw your focus from your head down to your heart. And from your heart to the very center of your torso, the center of chi, a gateway to the spiritual energy, the center of the spiritual being having the human experience. Let's allow any illusion of separation between ourselves and God to just melt away. And in unity, when we take time to meditate and pray, our tradition is to pray for others. So let's bring to mind any individuals, groups, or situations that you'd like to pray for now. Let's include all of the prayer requests received at Unity of the Hill Country, either through our website prayer request form or written requests placed in the prayer box. And let's just see and know that in each of these requests, the divine substance, the divine potential, and the divine perfection are in and expressing through each request as wholeness, as its highest good, today and every day hereafter. Let's see Unity of the Hill Country thriving in consciousness, people, and revenues. The God presence as Unity of the Hill Country is a divine magnet, attracting anyone who can benefit from who we are and what we are about, attracting health, prosperity, love, and joy to Unity of the Hill Country and all who are guided here. And now, let's take some time to pray. We know that each of us has developed a basic assumption about life. Several basic assumptions. We learned at a young age, this must be the way it is, or this must be the way that it must be. Yet as we age, as we become more wise, more mature, we realize that many of these assumptions need to be released, need to be let go. And from that void, that vacuum, can enter a new, more positive, more powerful worldview. As I prepare for 2 minutes of silence, we embrace and express the divine idea of renunciation in the silence. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I move through the coming week, I am willing to visualize myself as succeeding. I will activate my gatekeeper in my mind, assigning a part of my mind to recognizing when I need to convert negative beliefs and thoughts. I look for an opportunity to have a confidant, to get some of the negativity off my chest by talking to someone. Recognize that if there is an obstacle, I can obliterate it, even if it's only in my mind. I release comparing myself to others. I recognize that I do have a capacity for good. And then I visualize myself suddenly having another 25% of capacity. And I will work with the affirmation, I can do all things through God who strengthens me now. And as we draw our focus back to this, let's be thankful for our ever-growing awareness of the omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence of God. We open our heart chakras and pour forth gratitude and pray all of these things in the name and the nature and the power that we know as Jesus Christ. And let's now sing the Alleluia chant. Good morning. A couple of items real quickly. One is someone was asking me about wearing masks. Yeah, I've seen the stories about, how there's now, especially after Thanksgiving, a spike not only in the Omicron COVID-19, you got this respiratory virus, of course, the seasonal flu. So yes, if you want to wear a mask, that's no problem. I know I feel a bit torn. I know I've kind of found that trying to do a Sunday lesson when I'm wearing a mask doesn't work out very well. So don't feel discouraged about that. And there was something else, but I'm going to trust that I slipped my mind for a reason. So let's do a virtual hug. All right. How many of you remember when you were kids choosing sides? There'd be two captains, so to speak, who were designated, and then they would choose, from the group of people. And guess how many of you were the last one chosen? I was incredibly short, like about 5 foot. In fact, at a Catholic grammar school, the nuns would line us up according to height, So depending upon, what year it was, there was me, there was Frank Cerrone, there was Tony Ryan, and Mike McCarthy. We were all the short ones, And so, I started to get a bit inferiority complex, It was funny, though, because when we hit 7th grade, going into 8th grade, they formed a football team for our school, and I loved football. So I was out there and I realized, wow, all of these taller kids that are bullying me, I now have license to tee off on all of them. And And so I did, and I went into high school, wanted to, play football, and finally, near the end of my freshman year, I sprouted from 5'1" to 5'8". I actually got up to 5'10". Now I'm about 5'9". Have you noticed that? Isn't it weird that we shrink once we get past maybe the age of 50? It's like, what happened to that inch? I didn't see it go. So yeah, but when I would be in high school and even heading off to college, okay, here I am, like about 5'9". I would stand next to somebody who was also 5'9". Yet I would perceive them as being much taller than me. Because for most of my life, that's the way it was. So I had this inferiority complex. But then I had a bit of a wake-up call in college. There was this woman, a classmate of mine, who was 6'2". She was on the Drake University women's basketball team. And a good basketball player, but off the court, she'd be shy and she'd kind of be slumped shoulders. And I had a conversation with her one day, and she said, all the time she was growing up, she was always the tallest person there. And she just felt inferior. And she felt like, by trying to just keep a low profile and not raise anybody's hackles, so it's kind of like, wow. And you start to realize how many people find some reason to have an inferiority complex. I heard the story of a boy named Mike who in high school found that he enjoyed baseball and basketball. And he went out for the varsity team when he was a sophomore, but the basketball coach, no, you're not good enough yet. He was just crushed. And he went home and was talking with his dad, and Dad's like, well, is this something you really want to do? And he said, yes. He goes, well, then you just need to practice and keep at it until you're good enough. And sure enough, he was good enough. He got on the high school team, and then he actually got an opportunity to go to college on a basketball scholarship. And he did very well. So much so that, drafted into the NBA in 1984. Maybe you've heard of this guy. His name is Michael Jordan. Believe it or not, Michael Jordan had a superstition. He felt that he needed to wear his North Carolina University shorts underneath his NBA shorts. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the screen. How many of you remember when basketball shorts were actually shorts? It's like hot pants for men. I was looking yesterday, for some pictures, and I found a video of some of the more modern basketball players, taking a look. They'd hold up these shorts. I don't think I could even fit into these things. Well, Michael Jordan wanted to wear, but, try to get the shorts underneath the other shorts. And so he talked to the powers that be there at the Chicago Bulls, and they said, well, I'll tell you, if you can find someone who can make them a little bit baggier or something like that, go for it. Well, and he contacted the Champion, sportswear company, and they came up with this idea, and that was to just have longer shorts. And so suddenly, around 1990, all of the basketball players were wearing these long shorts. And the rule now is your shorts have to come down to 1 inch above your knee. And of course, this affected fashion. I still, during the summer, will wear shorts with like a 6-inch inseam, but most of them are like, 9 or 10 inches, the other thing that I saw in that video is they had some women say, well, gee, I'd really like to see guys go back to short shorts. But, here's Michael Jordan, and it's like he felt like he couldn't play up to par unless he had his North Carolina basketball shorts underneath the Chicago Bulls shorts. And and of course, what they say, if somebody's success, you want to copy it. So that's what happened. Suddenly everybody's wearing it. And then I guess the University of Michigan decided to go with longer shorts and won the national championship. So it was all downhill after that. Back, you can go ahead and pull the slide now. Back in 1993, Carla and I had an opportunity to hear Norman Vincent Peale. Now, some of you remember Norman. He was actually a Dutch Reformed minister, but then he kind of became this motivational speaker. In 1956, he wrote this book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And so we had this wonderful opportunity to hear him speak. He was 95 years old, and he actually passed away just a few months after that. But, he was sharing some of the stories about breaking out of this inferior interior attitude. So he shared the story of a high school pole vaulter who had this opportunity to, essentially try out for a college scholarship as a pole vaulter. He was able, his highest jump was 20 feet, 2.5 inches. And so the recruiter wanted to see him do this, and he got very nervous about it. And he's like, and as he's practicing, he keeps hitting the bar and all of that. And finally, he talks to his coach, and the coach says, in your imagination, I want you to just black out everything below the bar and just focus on everything above the bar. And so he practiced, and the day came when the recruiter was there, and sure enough, 20 feet, 2.5 inches. How many of us approach life like that? We know where we need to go, but we're focusing on everything below the bar. And yet, time and time again, we see examples of and experience in our own lives that we can do a lot more than we thought we could. And if we're open and receptive to grace, it's astonishing, the way things will unfold. There's a biblical reference to this concept. It's in the Christian Testament. The letter to the Colossians, 3rd chapter, 2nd verse says, set your minds on what is above and not what is on the earth. So when negativity comes up, and here again, I know I was kind of stunned in unity to learn that, hey, you can change your thoughts. You just have to recognize, okay, this is here, but I'm going to let it go. I know we were talking in the meditation circle on Thursday about, I remember one of the professors at Unity Seminary talked about, when you're meditating, it's kind of like, okay, I'm waiting for the number 5 bus on the corner, and the number 3 bus comes up. Because why do so many people get angry and kick the bus rather than just letting it go by? So with your negative thoughts, it's like, yeah, I don't need to jump on this bus. Leo Burnett started a very powerful advertising agency up in Chicago. And he had a quote that I've always enjoyed. He says, reach for the stars. Reach for the stars. You probably won't touch them, but you won't come up with a handful of mud either. And St. John Chrysostom was the Archbishop of Constantinople in the years 347 to 407. And he wrote, whoever seeks earth before he seeks heaven will surely lose both earth and heaven. Now, I've talked about how, in the Gospels, the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there is this reference to the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is that absolute realm that never changes. God is a constant and is always here, always in every cell of your body. The kingdom of heaven is our growing awareness that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So when I look back at his quotes, whoever seeks earth before he seeks heaven will surely lose both earth and heaven. So yeah, we can get all caught up in what's happening here in the physical world. I know I was talking with somebody yesterday who was just so upset about Twitter and Elon Musk, and I'm kind of like, so how does this affect you personally? Look at all of this, crap. how does this affect you personally? And why do you feel that you are the kernel of justice, the kernel of truth, that you need to be on Twitter responding to everything? It's like, it's okay. It's okay. Just allow things to unfold. So it's about our consciousness. Now, I mentioned Norman Vincent Peale. He also shared the story of a speaking engagement that he was at. And just a few minutes before he was supposed to go up to the lectern, the guy, can I talk to you for a minute? And no, I need to be on the stage here in 2 minutes. And the guy handed him his business card. And as Norman Vincent Peale was speaking, he noticed at the back of the auditorium, here's this guy pacing back and forth. And so he tried to put him out of his mind. And at the end, of his presentation, he noticed the guy was gone. But he thought, well, he did give me his business cards, so he called him. And it turns out this guy had been reading, Norman Vincent Peale's writings. And he had this very important business meeting the next day, and yet he was feeling a lot of negativity about it. And so Norman says to him, okay, here is my prescription for you. First of all, do you have a Bible handy? And the guy says, well, here, I'll look for one. He says, okay, open it to the letter of the Philippians in the Christian Testament. Chapter 4, the 6th verse. Have no anxiety about anything, but in everything by prayer and thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Have no anxiety about anything, but in everything by prayer and thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. I think I put it up. Yeah, okay, there it is. And then he said, okay, now jump to the 13th verse and see it says, I can do all things through God who strengthens me. I can do all things through God who strengthens me. Now he said, what I want you to do is to take a small piece of paper or an index card, write that down on the card. It says, I can do all things through God who strengthens me, but then put a comma and say, now. So many of us have this fascinating way of saying, okay, well, I know my good is coming. Any day now. Why? Why do you feel like there has to be a delay? And so sure enough, the guy went to the meeting. And the next day, he called Norman and said, oh, it went great. Thank you so much. So I want you to take a look at obviously, I've got the handouts for today. And Brad, go ahead and put up the takeaways. I'm going to let them stay up there while I'm going through all of this, and then we'll review. Here are 7 powerful steps to help us overcome our inferior interior. Of course, I guess I shouldn't be affirming that we have an interior that's inferior. Okay, one is, with success. What is success to you? What are your basic assumptions about what needs to be a success? But can you see yourself as succeeding? Formulate and stamp indelibly on your mind. Boy, I'm glad I chose that word. A mental picture of yourself succeeding. Remember that whatever we hold in our minds, our beliefs, expands. That's why we need to see above the bar rather than looking at what's underneath the bar. It's like the biblical book of Job. Here Job thinks he's such a good guy and such a righteous guy, but he's having these negative thoughts. What if I get boils? Oh, I got boils. Well, gee, how about that? Number 2, activate the gatekeeper. The idea is in your mind, you can actually assign something in your mind, say, okay, watch the thoughts as they come through. Just kind of tap me on the shoulder when I'm having a negative thought or belief come through so that I have that opportunity to change my thinking and my beliefs. Number 3, get it off your chest. There's something very powerful about just being able to get together with somebody. I know I've had the chance to counsel, several of you Just get it all off your chest. Just talk about it. The negativity, your deepest, darkest fears, it's nice to just be able to share it with somebody who's a confidant, who will hold that for you. Obliterate the obstacles. Years ago, I guess it was in the 1990s, I read a book by a guy who was the CEO of Swiss Airlines. And the title of the book was Run Through Walls. And his concept was, if you see an obstacle, like say a brick wall, go ahead and run through it. He says 9 times out of 10, it's like paper mache. It was more of illusion. Because now that 10% of the time when I find it's really a brick wall, I forgive myself. Okay, time to turn left. Number 2, release comparisons. I heard in the seminary we heard a story about a boy who was told that his father and his grandfather could walk on water. And that when they each reached the age of 21, they were able to walk across this lake in Wisconsin, because where they were, they could see across the lake was this tavern, but it was a long way around. It's just, so it'd be nice to just go straight across. So when he turned 21, he went out to walk and, of course, sank. Here this was the middle of July. And his mother says, honey, think this through. Your birthday's in July, but your father's birthday is in December, and your grandfather's birthday is in January. It's very easy to walk on water when it's frozen. So there's a reason we have different fingerprints. Each of us have special gifts, passions, and talents that we are here to make this world a better place. So figure out what it is that you do really well, or something that you've got such a passion about that you'll do it for, say, 8 hours straight, and then, oh, I forgot about lunch. You're just so passionate and focused. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm here to do. Capacity plus. So estimate your own capabilities and then raise it by 25%. Recognize that you may not think you can do it now, but if you just allow that divine energy to flow through you, after all, you're a part of God. And then number 7, work with the affirmation, I can do all things through God who strengthens me. Then at the end of the statement, add the word now. When Carla and I met in 1986, I had earned an MA. I was a master of a-holery. Yet Carla could somehow see the good in me. And so, we started a relationship, and she was patient, and she had this amazing ability to, seems like she could read my mind or read my soul. And so she kept calling me on my stuff. What is it about women? It's men that are men. But so, yeah, I worked with it, found a counselor, started recognizing basic assumptions and all of that. And about 6 months into a relationship, Carla kind of helped me in a guided meditation. We were kind of like, okay, all of us have an inner child. Why don't you go find your inner child? So this meditation, I just kind of let it go, let my imagination take me where I needed to take me. And I found myself in an elevator going down. First floor, basement, sub-basement. And the elevator doors open, and I come out, and I see this cinder block room, and there's this window, and there's a control room, and there's this sense that somebody was just here. And then I see a doorway, and so I go through the doorway into this hallway, and I hear something, and I open up this closet door, and here's a little boy sitting on the bottom of the closet saying, "Don't kill me, don't kill me." And I realized, oh my God, this is my inner child. And some of the traumas that I had, or the inferior attitude, this guy's buttons and pulling the levers. I think it's wise that I just get in touch with this kid, So I held him and said, it's okay, we need to communicate a little bit better. And at a later retreat, someone had suggested, well, why don't I redo that? But at that point, where did little Bobby love to play? And Bobby loved to play in the forest preserves of Chicago. Along all of the various rivers in Chicago, they'd put in an area which kind of covered a floodplain, but it was just the natural forest that was there, long before they all came in and just clear cut. And so it was a lot of fun to just go play in the forest preserves, and there were all of these trails that had been, beaten into the earth by other people before me. And so, so it was like, okay, yeah, there, and I gave my little Bobby a whistle and said, if you're trying to communicate and I'm not hearing you, blow the whistle. In other words, I set up my internal gatekeeper, And so from that point forward, it was like, yeah, you can reparent your inner child. You can be its advocate. You can say, I remember counseling a woman who, she had been beaten as a child, so I counseled her to see her as an adult coming in and basically taking that child out of there. And protecting that child and being the advocate of that child. So in your own meditations or the like, use that tool to make yourself, finally free of all of these things. So what is holding you back, and how different would it be if you let it go? So let's review real quickly. 1, visualize yourself as succeeding. Number 2, activate the gatekeeper. Transform negative thoughts that come across your mind or negative beliefs. Get it off your chest. Talk to somebody. Obliterate the obstacle. Release comparisons with others. Capacity plus. Visualize yourself having suddenly 25% more in capacity. And then work with the affirmation from that letter to the Philippians. I can do all things through God who strengthens me now. Well, I have an interesting video from Steve Hartman of the CBS News about a young high schooler who decided to challenge himself.
They were the bad news bears of swimming.
Y'all on 2 minutes.
In fact, Coach Alex Wiedemann of Seguin High School in Arlington, Texas, says you can't overstate their underachievement.
Our goal every meet was to finish the race. Just get across the pool? Get across the pool. Really, we measured our success on not getting disqualified.
And because that was the standard, 4 years ago, Gerald Hodges made the team. Perhaps the only kid to ever make a high school swim team without a clue how to swim.
We had to get anybody. It didn't matter.
He didn't know how to swim.
He couldn't get across 5 yards, let alone 25 yards.
Was there really nobody better?
No.
Come on, Gerald. Come on, Gerald.
Eventually, he at least learned how to not drown and even finished some races, albeit long after the other competitors were done and toweled off.
Push it. Come on.
Yes, he was that bad, which is interesting. Because on dry land, Gerald is a remarkable athlete.
Could you have made the basketball team?
I think so.
Could you have made the football team?
I'm pretty sure.
Soccer team?
Pretty positive.
So why swimming?
I felt like if I couldn't handle not being good at something, then how could I consider myself, a successful person?
That quote bears repeating. If I couldn't handle not being good at something, then how could I consider myself a successful person? To Gerald, setting yourself up for failure is actually the key to future success, especially if you can somehow manage to master your weakness. And by the start of his senior year, Gerald had actually improved a lot.
But no one really knew how much he'd improved until a big regional meet earlier this year. It was the 200-yard medley relay. Top 2 teams qualify for state. And as usual, Seguin was pretty much in last place with 50 yards to go. And that's when Gerald jumped in the water.
Keep in mind, at this level, making up any significant time is nearly impossible. Unless maybe you've got something to prove. Unless, maybe, There's an extra drive deep within anyone who knows what it's like to be dismissed. Whatever it was, the kid who couldn't swim just sent his team to state.
Man, we was ecstatic. I could barely contain my energy as I was trying to go get this medal. I'm sitting here just freaking out.
You're having a hard time now.
Yes, yeah, I'm like, I've come so far.
From now on, whenever you think anything is impossible, think of Gerald. Whenever you think America has lost its heart, think of Gerald. Steve Hartman, on the road in Arlington, Texas.
See, he's from Texas. You have no excuse. Again, from the letter of the Philippians, 4th chapter, 13th verse. I can do all things through God who strengthens me. And may you always be open to God's guidance and grace. Our special music today is You Don't Have to Move That Mountain.
You don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. 'Cause you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. You must climb a great high mountain to reach those plains of peace. In wise words you'll find your strength, and your fears you may release. 'Cause you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. Well, the way is filled with pitfalls, and sometimes we may crumble. You can find the space to grow, my friend, if you keep climbing and stay humble. 'Cause you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. 'Cause you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. Everybody, 'cause you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. The Soul Sisters. The Soul Sisters.
If this is your first time at Unity, we're glad you're here, and we hope that you're finding a place of like-minded people and a place to belong. We teach spiritual tools that can help you no matter what's going on in your life, and generosity is important to us. We will donate $5 to a local charity of your choice, Just write your email on the card in our welcome packet and leave it in the office. We don't want to put you on the spot, but raise your hand and we will bring you a welcome packet if this is your first time with us today, or you can pick one up on the way out. Okay, glad you're here with us this morning. We hope you'll stay a few minutes and let us get to know you a little bit. Now we have an opportunity to support our spiritual cooperative. If you would like to donate by credit card, go to our website, unityhillcountry.org, and click on the donate button. Please set up an automatic weekly or monthly contribution. If you would like to mail checks, please mail them to Unity of the Hill Country, 1016 Jefferson Street, Kerrville, Texas, 78028. And we thank you in advance for your generosity. And now our ushers will come forward with our offering baskets, and together we will say our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all I am, all I give, and all I receive. I send it forth with my blessings and my love. I have received, freely I give. Divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive. Freely I have received, freely I give. Divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive. We open our hearts in gratitude for these freely given donations, and we send these gifts through our congregation and into our world, blessing all that it affects. Amen. Okay, announcements. Ready? Our Serenity Al-Anon meets at noon on Mondays, and if you have a friend or a loved one who's suffering with addiction and you need support, please visit Al-Anon. The Naked Now book study meets tomorrow, and this group meets every first and third Monday of the month. We still have some of the books available in the office if you do not have a copy. We are asking for an $11 love offering if you would like a copy, and please see Brad in the office for more information. Our Course in Miracles workshop, facilitated by Charles Diggs, meets every Wednesday at 4 p.m. The underlying premise is that the greatest miracle is the act of simply gaining full awareness of love's presence in one's life. Please stop in for this life-changing course. Codependence Anonymous meets weekly on Thursdays at 8 p.m. The goal of this meeting is to discuss our difficulties with interpersonal relationships and is open to anyone who's interested. Our Center for Calm Meditation group meets weekly, 10:30 a.m. on Thursdays. Please come and join with some familiar faces and take some time to experience meditating with the group. And please keep in mind there will be no service on Christmas Day or New Year's Day. We will be hosting Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve services on Saturdays, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. for your convenience. We also have free greeting cards over here on the credenza if you'd like to help yourself to them, and they're lovely. I've gotten a couple. So don't forget to go over there and check that out. If you would like an opportunity to serve our church community here, be a Sunday host, an usher, a daily word reader, a chairback stuffer, an insert stuffer, let us know. Let Brad know. Please know we'll be revising our schedule starting in January, so please use the sign-up sheets in the lobby if you're interested. And with that, we have come to the end of our service today. Please join us in singing the peace song, followed by our prayer for protection. Please stand as you are able and join hands.